The biography of Srila Narottama Das Thakura is fully described in the Bhakti Ratnakara Narottama Vilas, Prema Vilas and Narottaram Charita. The following is a summary of the life and times of Srila Narottama Das Thakura taken from the above four-mentioned books. In Narottam Vilas, compiled by Srila Narahari Thakur, it is narrated as follows. One day, while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing with his associates doing Sankirtan, he suddenly looked in the direction of Sri Keturi village. A particular look appeared on his face, tears spelled in his eyes, and he cried out the name, Narottam, Narottam, again and again. The ocean of mercy, Nityananda Roy shouted in joy, and Haridas, Vakeshwara, and others were inexplicably filled with happiness. Witnessing the unusual behavior of the Lord, the devotees began talking amongst themselves. Prabhu is repeatedly calling out the name of someone named Narottam. It seems that this Narottam is extremely dear to the Lord. Perhaps he is about to take birth soon. Oh, who is that fortunate man who will have such a son? The woman who bears him within her womb is the most fortunate lady in the world. Obviously, the Lord has plans for this Narottam to fulfill his mission. In this way, the rumors of appearance of Narottam spread far and wide. On the banks of the Padmavati River in the town of Gopalpur lived King Krishnanandana Dutt. His older brother was Purushottama Datta. The wealth and fame of these two brothers was beyond compare. In the month of Magh, on the fifth full moon day, circa 1531 AD, Srila Narottama Das took his birth. Seeing many auspicious omens surrounding the birth of his son, Raja Krishnananda was very pleased and gave lavishly in charity to the Brahmins. The Brahmins, seeing all the auspicious signs surrounding their child's birth, prophesied that the boy was a highly perfected soul and a great personality by whose influence many people would be delivered, just as a crescent moon gradually becomes full. The king's son grew effulgent and beautiful with each passing day. His bodily luster was just like molten gold. His eyes were large and shaped like lotus petals. His arms extended to his knees, and he had a deep navel. All these are bodily symptoms of a beautiful and saintly son. Soon the boy's Annaprasana, or grain-eating ceremony, was held. At that time, in order to ensure auspiciousness and a bright future for his son, Krishnananda gave much charity. The king's wife's name was Narayani Devi. Having given birth to such a wonderful son, she was floating in the ocean of ecstasy. She always kept the boy close to her and was always concerned for his well-being, caring for him constantly. The boy was extremely peaceful. Wherever his mother put him, he would quietly stay put. Within the ladies' quarters, the ladies used to nurture and care for the child with great ecstasy. Gradually, the day of his entrance into school, Hattekari, approached. As his schooling went on, everyone was astonished at his amazing intelligence. He was a Shrutidar. Simply by hearing a subject once from his gurus, he became committed to memory. In only a short time, he mastered the study of Sanskrit grammar, poetry, rhetoric, and became expert in many different scriptures. But gradually he saw as useless any knowledge which did not promote Hari Bhajana, and soon lost interest in studying everything but Krishna consciousness. He found that in previous times the learned who understood what real knowledge is left everything, renouncing the world of birth and death, and went off to the forest in order to worship the Supreme Lord Hari. Day after day, Narottam began to think of how he could become free from family life and constantly engage himself in the Lord's service. He was indifferent to all material enjoyment. Where most children usually like to play, he was uninterested in playing games. At this time, hearing the glories of Sri Nityananda and Sri Gauranga from lotus lips of the devotees of the Lord, his heart was filled with spiritual joy. As if he had been given new life, he felt great ecstasy. Within a few days of hearing the wonderful qualities of Gaur and Nityananda, he began to chant their names in japa day and night. One night, the merciful Sri Gaurasundar, surrounded by his eternal associates, appeared to Narottam in a dream and gave him darshan. After this, in order to understand how to become free from family life, Narottama Das Thakura began to think day and night of how he would go to Vrindavan. Narottam prayed, Hari Hari, Kabe Habe, Vrindavana Vasi. Oh Hari, when will I become a resident of Vrindavan? When will I serve the beautiful divine couple in Vrindavan with tears in my eyes? In this way, Narottam would constantly sing, Upon seeing Narottam's indifference to all sense pleasure and his intense renunciation, King Krishnananda and Narayani Devi began to think about what to do with him. Seeing that he was not inclined towards family life, he might soon unexpectedly leave home to go to Vrindavan. They became very worried. They employed a guard to watch over him so that he could not leave. Narottam saw that the difficulties involved in escaping were becoming more impassable than the Himalayas, and he thought that he might never go to Vrindavan and absorb himself in the worship of the holy feet of Sri Gauranga. Thinking only of how to get the mercy of Sri Gaura Nityananda, he began to pray very earnestly for guidance from them. And so it came to pass that some messengers came from the ruler of Bengal, informing King Krishnananda the ruler of Bengal wanted to meet with him. In order to meet with the ruler of Bengal, Raja Krishnananda and his brother Purushottama Das set out on a long journey to the court. Narottam took advantage of the moment, thinking it a very good opportunity to leave home. At that time, he secretly left his mother and his protectors, Torrents of Vrindavan, began his journey to that holy land. It was on the full moon day in the month of Kartik that Narottama Das left his family behind. Passing through Bengal in a short time, he soon found himself on the road to Mathura. All the other pilgrims he would meet were very affectionate toward Narottama, as they could recognize him as the son of the king. He would sometimes live by drinking milk and sometimes would eat the roots and fruits as he went along. His constantly hankering to see Vrindavan made his hunger and thirst grow away. As he moved from place to place, he would hear the glories of Gaura Nityananda from the mouths of many devotees. In this way, he was always thinking about their lotus feet. Constantly absorbed in meditation, as he walked and walked, he prayed to the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, as he had written, Arkabe Nitai Chand. When will Lord Nityananda show his mercy to me and free me from the world of birth and death? By his mercy, one day he gave up material enjoyment and purify his mind. By his mercy, one may give up material enjoyment and purify his mind. In this way, by the mercy of Sri Nityananda, one can attain Vrindavan. In this way, walking and walking, Narottama arrived at Mathura, and upon seeing the Jamuna river, he offered many prayers. But remembering the names of the 6 Goswamis headed by Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatana, began to weep in ecstasy. Gradually he came to Vrindavan itself and entered into the holy land. He was sent by Sri Rupa Jiva Goswami to serve the lotus feet of Lokanath Goswami. Lord Chaitanya had already foretold the initiation of Narottama Das Thakura by Lokanath Goswami before the appearance of Narottama Thakura. In Narottama Vilas it is stated, within a short period of time a prince named Narottama will become your disciple. He will be a gifted devotee full of love and devotion and empowered to save the following conditioned souls from hellish life. His enchanting, beautiful kirtan will melt even the wood or stone. Wow. You can imagine a kirtan melting stone? Wow. The stone melts by Narottama's kirtan? Just imagine what kirtan. Lokanath Maharaj was so deeply recognized by the pain of separation from Sri Gauranga that his very life had been taken away. Narottama offered a basin to the lotus feet of Sri Lokanath, and Lokanath asked him, "Who are you?" And Narottama said, "I'm your fallen servant. I wish to serve your lotus feet." Lokanath replied, "How can I, who am unable to serve Gaura Nityananda, accept any service?" It so happened that Lokanath Goswami determined not to accept any disciple. So following this vow, he declined to accept Narottama Das as his disciple. No disciples, he says, vow. But what's Narottama to do? He won't accept him. What's Narottama to do? He wants to be a disciple, but he won't accept me. So what's Narottama going to do? But Narottama Das was very determined to have the shelter of Sri Lokanath Goswami. After this, Narottama would secretly go to the middle of the night to the place where Lokanath would pass stool and urine. Wow. Narottama would cleanse that spot, maintaining everything very nicely. After a year of serving in this way, his service was recognized by Lokanath Goswami, and he bestowed his mercy on Lokanath, on Narottama Thakura. On the full moon day of the month of Shravana, he initiated Narottama Thakura as his disciple. Narottama Das Thakura used to eat by practicing Madhukari, and he would study the Goswami scriptures under the guidance of Srila Jiva Goswami. Srinivasacharya was his dear friend, and together the two of them used to study under Srila Goswami. It's actually mentioned in one of his bhajans. Daya Kodo Shri Acharya. Let's see, how's it go? Oh, ha ha svabrup. Yeah, is that last verse? Remember? Ha ha svabrups. Let's see, Daya Karo Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivas, Ramachandra Narachama Sange Mage, Narottama Das. So even in that song, he's celebrating the name of Srinivas. They were very close friends. So he sang his friend's name in his bhajam. Dayakara Srinivasa. At that time, Shyamananda Prabhu arrived from Godadesh, and he also began studying the Goswami scripture under the guidance of Srila Jiva Goswami. These three, with one mind, performed their bhajans in Vrindavan, and yet felt that their inner inspiration had not attained in complete fulfillment. One day, Srila Jiva Goswami called the three of them to him, and he said, "In the future, you must preach the message of Sriman Mahaprabhu far and wide. Taking literatures of the Goswamis, must quickly go to Bengal and begin preaching." So they said, "Okay, leave Vrindavan now. Now you go out and preach." They ordered from Jiva Goswami. Well, got to leave Vrindavan now, got to go out and preach. The three of them, Narottama Das Thakura, Srinivasacharya, and Shyamananda Prabhu, gave up their residence in Vrindavan, accepted the order of their guru on their heads, taking up the treasured scriptures of the Goswamis. But then they started on their journey to Bengal. As they continued on their way, gradually they came to Vanavishnupura. In Vanavishnupura lived a king of dacoits and thieves named Srila Birhambara. At 990 had the scriptures stolen, oh my God, thinking them to be a treasure of some kind. When they woke in the morning and saw the scriptures stolen, Narottama Das Thakura, Srinivasacharya, and Shyamananda fell as if their heads had been hit by a thunderbolt. Miserable beyond description, they all began searching in all four directions for the scriptures, till finally news came to them that King Birhambara had stolen the books and was keeping them hidden in his royal storehouse. Now the story of what happened to the scriptures is not given here. They must have gotten them back sooner or later. That's another story. At this, it was decided among the three that Sri Shyamananda would head for Utkala, and Narottam studied for Keturigram, while Srinivas stayed behind, thinking of some way to deliver the Goswami's books from the king's storehouse. In order to see the holy birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Narottam went quickly to visit Navadvip. Arriving there, he began chanting, "Oh Gaurahari, oh Gaurahari," on the banks of the Ganges, hundreds and hundreds of times, and offered many prayers to the Lord. Sitting beneath the shade of a tall tree, he began to wonder, where is the actual place of Sri Chaitanya's birth? He sat there for some time thinking of what to say next. Just then an old Brahmin happened to walk by. Narottam rose to his feet to show respect to the Brahmin. Brahmin said, "Baba, from where you have come? What is your name?" Narottam introduced himself and expressed his desire to see the holy birthplace of Sri Chaitanya. The Brahmin replied, "Today my life has become auspicious, for before my eyes is a dear devotee of Sri Chaitanya." Narottam said, "Baba, you have seen Chaitanya?" The Brahmin replied, "What are you saying? Every day Nibai Pandit sits with his disciples of this god and discusses the Shastra, and then from a distance I watch him and wonder at the beauty of his divine form. Today I remember seeing that very form sitting beneath this tree here where he sits every day." As the Brahmin spoke, tears of ecstasy poured from his eyes. Narottam said, "Baba, it is the fortune of a lifetime that I beheld you with these eyes." Seeing this tears fell from his eyes, falling to the ground, Narottam touched the Brahmin's feet to his head. The Brahmin said, "Baba, I give you my blessing that soon you will attain the devotion to the lotus feet of Govinda. At this time you'll preach the glories of Gaur Govinda far and wide." So you get the order from Jiva Goswami, now the blessings of this Brahmana of preaching the glories of Gaur Govinda far and wide. After this, the Brahmin showed Narottama Das the path to where the house of Jagannath Mishra was. Finding that path, Srila Narottam walked until he came to the house of Jagannath Mishra. Arriving at the house of Jagannath Mishra, he fell down at the door with tears in his eyes and offered his full obeisances for reciting various prayers in glorification of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But entering in the house, he had darshan of the lotus feet of Suklabhara Brahmachari. Narottam offered his respects to his feet. From different signs, Shuklambara Chakravarti could understand that Narottam was an agent of Sri Chaitanya's mercy. He said, "Who are you?" Narottam introduced himself, explaining he had been living in Vrindavan under the care of Jiva Goswami and Lokanath Goswami, and he had just arrived from Navadvip. Sri Shuklambara Chakravarti said, "Baba, you have come from Vrindavan? You with Lokanath and Jiva Goswami?" At length he made Narottam rise and embraced him heartily, barraging him with endless questions about the well-being, activities, and good health of the Goswamis. In this way he talked on and on with Narottam as he wanted to hear about all of Vrindavan and everything was going on there. Finally, Narottam got to meet Ishan Thakur, the old servant of Sri Sati Mata. Upon meeting him, he offered his prayers of respect to his holy feet, introduced himself. Sri Ishan Thakur touched Narottam's head, bestowing blessings upon it, and then embraced him affectionately. After this, Narottam met Sri Damodar Pandit and offered his respects to him. Then he went to the house of Srivas Pandit and offered his respects to Sri Pati and Sri Nidhi Pandit. All of them affectionately embraced Narottam. After staying a few days in Mayapur, Narottam went to the house of Advaita in Shantipur. There he offered his respects to the lotus feet of Srila Achyutananda. Srila Achyutananda introduced himself and inquired about the health and well-being of the Vrindavan Goswamis. After staying in Shantipur for a few days, he went to Ambika Kalna to the house of Gauridas Pandit. At that time, Sri Hridaya Chaitanya Prabhu was staying there. He was a disciple of Gauridas Pandit. Narottam offered his respects to Hridaya Chaitanya. The two of them then affectionately embraced, and Narottam gave his news of the activities of the Goswamis in Vrindavan. After staying in Ambika Kalna for a day, he went to the place where the Ganges, Jamuna, and Saraswati met at a village called Saptagram. In that place, Uddara Thakur lived. Sri Nityananda Prabhu had previously given his mercy to the residents of Saptagram, and so all the people there were great devotees. After the appearance of Uddarana Thakur, people in the village felt they had lost their vision. Sri Narottam went to the house of Uddarana Thakur, and there he found the devotees were absorbed in separation from their guru in great agony, passing their days. Narottama Das offered his respects to all the Vaishnavas there and then continued on his way to Karadahagram. In Karadahagram, Sri Nityananda Prabhu had a residence where his two energies, Sri Vasudha and Janava Devi, lived. That was it. Sri Narottama went to the house of Lord Nityananda, and remembering the sublime holy name of Lord Nityananda, his voice choked up in ecstasy. Srila Paramashvari Das Thakur took Narottama within the inner portions of the house reserved for women and brought in the lotus feet of Sri Janava Mata and Sri Vasudha. Having been introduced to Narottama, whom they could understand to receive the mercy of Loganatha Goswami, Jiva Goswami, they bestowed their mercy upon him. It is said in the Bhakti Ratnakara that both Vasudha, who was the knower of all truth, and Sri Janava, who was the supreme mistress, bestowed their incomparable mercy upon Narottama. 4 days later, Narottama, also having spent much time discussing Krishna Katha and ecstasy with Sri Janava and Vasudha, bade them farewell and left for the town of Kanakula Krishnagara to see the place of Abhiram Gopal Thakur. Having met him, Narottama offered his respects to the holy feet of Abhiram and Gopal. He was passing a days in great pain of separation from Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda. He had become extremely internal, barely spending any time in the plane of external consciousness. Seeing him in that condition, Narottama wept a great deal. The Gopinath deity of Abhiram Thakur was wonderful to see. Narottama took darshan of the deity and recited many prayers and verses in praise of the Lord before the deity. The next day, after taking his leave of the house of Abhiram Thakur, Narottama had some inspiration within and set out for Jagannath Puri. Constantly thinking of the eternal associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it seemed to Narottama that he reached Jagannath Puri in no time at all. Srila Gopinathacharya and many other devotees, seeing Narottama on the path, all went out to greet him. In this way, surrounded by devotees, he arrived at Jagannath Puri. After Sri Narottama had paid his obeisance at the lotus feet of Gopinathacharya, and the Acharya had warmly embraced him, Gopinathacharya said, "This very day I was hoping you might arrive." Soon Narottama and all the devotees from Vrindavan and Bengal began talking on and on about Krishna, Gauranga, the Goswamis, and many other things. All the devotees are very happy to have Narottama in their midst, and they took him to have darshan in the temple of Jagannath. While taking darshan of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra, Narottama offered many fine prayers in their glorification and bowed down before them again and again. After this, he went to the house of Haridas Thakur, and upon arriving there, began to drown in the ocean of Sri Krishna Prem. After this, he went to the house of Gadadhar Pandit and began to shout at the top of his lungs in a loud voice, "Oh, life and soul! Oh, Gauranga! Oh, Gadadhar!" Thereafter he took darshan of Tota Gopinath deity and offered his respects to the lotus feet of Sri Mamu Goswami Thakur, who was at that time engaged in the service of Sri Gopinath. Thereafter Narottama Das Thakura drew near to a place, that part of the Gopinath deity where it is said that Mahaprabhu had entered into in the presence of his devotees. This is recorded in the Bhakti Ratnakara as follows. It is difficult to understand the movements of that crown jewel of sannyasi, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Upon his disappearance, all of a sudden the earth became dark. He entered into the Gopinath Mandir and never came out. In this way he left the visible plane and entered that invisible plane. I don't think we're going to get that far, but Narottama merged into the Ganga. He went to bathe in the Ganga and his whole body into the Ganga. So Chaitanya went into the Tota Gopinath, Narottama went into the Ganga. Upon hearing the disappearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Narottama cried out, "Oh Satchinandana, oh Garahi," and fell unconscious on the ground. Seeing Narottama's embittered state of separation from the Lord, all the devotees began crying tears of praying. After this, Narottama went to the house of Kashi Mishra and took darshan of the generous lotus feet of Sri Gopal Guru Goswami and saw the devotees at the Radhakanta temple. After this, he went to the Gunticha temple for darshan and remembered the Lord's pastimes in the Jagannath Vallabha gardens. Then he visited the Narendra Sarovar and many other places. After a few days, having experienced great transcendental bliss in the association of the devotees of Jagannath Puri and having visited all the places of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, he took his leave from the devotees and left for Sri Nrsimhapur. Once there, he went to Shyamananda Prabhu's house, saying, Narottama, after such a long time, Shyamananda Prabhu was floating in the ocean of ecstasy. In the ecstasy of Krishna Prem, two of them joyfully embraced one another. Shyamananda Prabhu, out of affection, kept Narottama in Nrsimhapur for many days, not allowing him to leave. Sri Narottama sanctified the town of Nrsimhapur by drowning everyone there in the nectarian flood of Sankirtan. Together, Shyamananda and Narottama would go on discussing Krishna Katha in great ecstasy without any knowledge whether it was day or night. After some time, Sri Narottama Thakur bade farewell to Shyamananda Prabhu and set out for Godadesh. Narottama quickly came to Sri Khanda. There he offered his respects to the lotus feet of Sri Narahare Sarakar Thakur and Sri Raghunandana. Sri Narahare Sarakara Thakur had great affection for Narottama's father, Sri Krishnananda. Offering respects to Narottama in return, Narahari blessed him in many ways, touching him on the head with his hand. Sri Raghunandana embraced him affectionately. They asked him to tell them all about the devotees of Jagannath Puri. In this way, Narottama went from one place to the next, and Sri Khanda, his transcendental pleasure always increasing. Narottama spent many days in Sri Khanda in great happiness, performing Sankirtan and dancing in the association of devotees there. Bidding farewell to all the eternal associates of Mahaprabhu in Sri Khanda, he went to Kantak Nagara, to the house of Gadadhar Das Thakur. He fell before the house of Gadadhar Das, offering respects, and Gadadhar affectionately embraced him. The Bhakti Ratnakara says, Sri Narottama Gadadhar Das embraced him with great affection, wetting his body with tears of joy. Sri Gadadhar Das Prabhu was passing his days in pain of separation from Gaur Nityananda. Narottama stayed there for 2 days, then left to see the birthplace of Sri Nityananda Prabhu in Radhadesh. Narottama went to Ekachakra Gram to visit the holy place of Nityananda's birth. There, an old Brahmin who affectionately disposed towards Narottama showed him the different holy places where Nityananda performed his Leela. Remembering the holy names of Hidai Pandit and Padmavati Devi, Narottama fell to the ground, his voice choked with ecstasy. After seeing the holy bowl place of Nityananda, Narottama started out for Katuri Gram. Bhakti-yoga says, after inquiring about the way to Katuri Gram from the local people, Narottama quickly came to the banks of the Padmavati. Crossing over the Padmavati, arrived in Katuri. Around his arrival, all the people of the village wanted to be the first to meet him. They were competing. Who was going to be the first? Transcendental competition, right? Since Narottama had been away for so long, there was a big welcoming celebration. Hearing of his arrival, the residents of Katurigram all began making preparations to welcome him. Raja Krishnananda and Sri Purushottama Datta, the father and uncle of Narottama, had already passed away and had gone back to the spiritual world. Purushottama Datta, Narottama's uncle, had a son whose name was Sri Santosh Datta. After the passing of the king, Krishnananda and Purushottama, he was shown much wealth and material enjoyment. Santosha was the foremost of saintly persons in the village. When he heard Narottama was about to bless that town with his holy footsteps, it was such a long time, to be the first one to greet Narottama, he rushed out with the rest of the devotees to wait for him on the road outside Katuri Gram. After some time, Narottama would be seen in the distance. Upon seeing him, Santosha, after bowing prostrate with full obeisance, went forward with tears of ecstasy in his eyes, falling on the ground again and again. Take the dust of Narottama's lotus feet. At this, Narottama affectionately embraced Santosha and asked him how he had been faring all this time. Narottama asked King Santosha many questions about his health, happiness, and well-being. A few days later, Narottama initiated Santosha with a Radha Krishna mantra. Raja Santosh Datta had previously wanted the temple to be built and a deity installed. Now he begged Sri Narottama's lotus feet for his permission. Narottama gradually gave his approval. Within a few months, Raja Santosh Datta had seen to it that a large temple was built. The temple compound included a big storehouse for food, a kirtan hall, a residence hall, an ashram for devotees, a bathing pond, a beautiful flower garland, and a guest house. On the full moon day of Phalguna and the festival day of Mahaprabhu's appearance, Gaur Purnima, he said, this temple was dedicated, the devotees were installed in a great festival which can only be compared to the Rajasuya Yoga of Yudhishthira Madra in its vast expansiveness began and was celebrated for miles around. Messengers were sent out for miles around Katuri Gram to near and distant lands led by kings, landowners, poets, pundits, Vaishnavas, authors, as many other illustrious guests. Some went far and wide to invite the topmost singers and orators. Preparation was made to install 6 deities at one time. And there was a big Gaur Purnima festival, the great festival at Katuri Gram. How much time do we have? I guess we have at least 20 minutes. So let's see. There was a big festival, and guess what happened? In the middle of that festival, Gaur Nitai became manifest. Just imagine we're having a Gaur Purnima festival and Gaur Nitai is to become manifest. And we're dancing in ecstasy with Gaur Nitai. That's what happened at that festival. Even though they departed, they came back in the middle of the kirtan. Let's get to that part and read that part of it. Really something. Wow. Let's get to that part of it. Oh yeah. This is a quote from the Bhakti Ratnakara 10.572. Who can describe the wealth of happiness felt the devotees when in the midst of their kirtan appeared the munificent Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself like a flash of lightning in the midst of a mass of beautiful clouds. Sri Chaitanya himself appeared within the crowd of devotees through divine manifestation. Mahaprabhu appeared in their midst along with not only Mahaprabhu, but listen to this, Sri Narahari, Sri Mukunda, Sri Gauridas Pandit, Sri Advaitacharya, Nityananda, Madhava Ghosh, Vasu Ghosh, Govinda Ghosh, Acharya Purandara, Sri Mahavesh, Sri Shankara, Shridhar, Sri Jagadas Pandit, Sri Jadranandana, Sri Kashishvara, and many other of the Lord's associates. They all appeared, can you imagine? In the middle of the kirtan, a huge assembly of the associates of the Lord, all departed, they all, boom, they came back. Can you imagine? Just imagine if we were having a kirtan and Prabhupada came, Bhakti Siddhanta, Gaurkishore, Jagannath, the whole disciplic procession appeared in the middle of a kirtan. All the way back to Narada, even Narada Muni was there, Brahma was there. Just imagine what a kirtan that would be. Can you imagine? Our hairs would be standing on there and the tears would be coming from our eyes like torrents of rain. So that's what something like that happened in Katuri Gram. Wow. Many others joined together in intense devotional ecstasy of that great kirtan of singing and dancing. Now another quote from the Bhakti Ratnakara. How overwhelmed in ecstasy were Advaita and Nityananda. How wonderful was the circle of the devotees made around Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who danced in the middle. Srinivasacharya and Narottama Thakur fully understood these pastimes of the wonderful manifestations of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's causeless mercy. It was an act of grace shown to Srinivasacharya and Narottama Thakur. With this, their satisfaction was complete. When Mahaprabhu, who is most affectionate to all his devotees, appeared with his own eternal associates, Srinivasacharya and Narottama Thakur felt complete joy and satisfaction after the Sankirtan. Sri Janava Mata offered the deities some, she was still present at that time, offered the deities some red powder, which is usually thrown by Hindus at the time of the holy festival. At that time, upon our devotees began to play with the dye powder, throwing it all over each other with great joy. So they had a holy throwing dyes at that Gaur Purnima. Wow. At an auspicious time during the full moon evening of Phalguna, Krishna, the Lord of Gokula, made his appearance with the town of Naja. As the ocean of ecstasy arose, flooding every house at that time, everyone had great fun with another. Sachi Devi was healthy and happy as the baby played in her lap in the house of Jagannath Sutta. See, I don't know what that means. See. So anyway, now we'll jump to the... now here's a nice section called The Glories of Narottam. Wow. This is really heavy. The Glories of Narottam. Wow. Just imagine the great songwriting, the great ecstasy of Krishna, of that bhav, of Krishna praying that's actually manifest in these bhajans by Narottam. Wow. Once when Narottama Thakur passed by a school, a learned Smarta Brahmin insulted Narottam in front of his students. Blaspheming again and again, he called Narottama Thakur a Sudra. After this offense, all the limbs of the Brahmin began melting away with leprosy. Immediately, leprosy. The limbs are melting away with leprosy. His legs, his hands, his arms. Wow. Immediately, from that offense, immediately it came down with leprosy, melting away his limbs. Consumed by this incurable disease and seeing no hope for discovery, the Brahmin decided to throw himself in the Ganges and die. That night, Durga Devi came to the Brahmin in a dream and said, "You fool! You have considered a great Mahabhagavat, a pure devotee, to be a Shudra. Even if you die, you may take many millions of births, but you cannot be delivered. But if you simply go to him and beg forgiveness at his lotus feet, everything will be all right." Ki jai. The next day, in the afternoon, the Brahmin went with a piece of cloth tied around his neck to indicate humility and complete submission, weeping and weeping, fell before the lotus feet of Narottama Thakur, begging his forgiveness. Gradually, as a result of association with Narottama, his leprosy healed. Narottama advised him to engage himself in Krishna bhajan. Gradually became greatly devoted to Narottama Thakur. Wow. Just see, he went from an offender to become a great devotee of Narottama Das. Just see the potency of this great Vaishnava Acharya, Narottama Das Thakur. Narottama Das Thakur ki jai! One day, Narottama and Sri Ramananda Kaviraj. Oh yeah, this I want to talk about this. There's a nice bhajan that I very much. Daya Koru Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivas Ramachandra Sangamage Narottama Das. So it says Narottama Das is always hankering Ramachandra Sange. He's always hankering for Ramachandra Sange. He's always hankering for the association of Ramachandra Chakravarti. It's the same one. So this is the mood of a devotee, you see. The devotee has dear associates that he's always hankering. The devotee is not impersonalist. Narottama Das was always hankering for the association of Ramachandra Chakravarti. Narottama himself says it. I'm Ramachandra Sange Mage Narottama Das. He himself is singing his own song. Narottama is always hankering for the association of Ramachandra Chakravarti. Ramachandra Kaviraj. So as devotees, we have to learn, develop this feeling for the association of Vaishnavas. Especially we have certain Vaishnavas, due to their reciprocations we have them that are very, very, very dear to us. You see. It's not buddy-buddy. It's actually a deep Vaishnava affection. So he had that for Ramachandra. So now we'll read about one pastime these two, Narottama and Ramachandra had on their way to the Padmavati river. It's very interesting. Listen to this. One day Narottama Thakur and Sri Ramachandra Chakravarti went to the Padmavati river to take birth. At that time they saw two young Brahmins herding many goats and sheep. Narottama asked the two Brahmins if they were making their young lives successful by performing Hari Bhajana. Are you guys Krishna conscious? The two young Brahmin boys listened very attentively, seeing the beautiful divine forms of Narottama Thakura and Ramachandra Kaviraj, and hearing thy sweet words, the two Brahmins approached the place where Narottama Thakura and Sri Ramachandra stood on the banks of the river. In a very humble mood, they offered their respectful prayers and obeisances. Narottama Das asked them who they were, and they introduced themselves, saying, we come from the village of Goyasa Gram, and we are the sons of a Zamandir named Shivanandacharya. Our names are Harinam and Ramakrishna. In our house, at present, Durga Puja is being conducted. In the order of our father, we're bringing all these goats and sheep to be slaughtered. Woo! Please advise us what we should do. Let's see what Narottama says for that one. Seeing the humble, they were in a very humble mood. They weren't in a very submissive way, but we're bringing all these goats and sheep to be slaughtered. Seeing the humble mood of the two sons of the Brahmins, Sri Thakur Mahashaya smiled sweetly and began to speak before on the truths of the Bhagavata, explaining what the Vedas say about how karma kanda is often performed in the modes of passion and ignorance, how those whose minds are contaminated by the lower modes are candidates for hell. The Vedas explain that the practitioners of karma receive some piety and as a result go to the heavenly planets for a short time, but having once gone to heaven for a short time, they fell back into hellish worlds to suffer. One who is interested in material enjoyment is captivated by the sweet words of the Vedas that promise material enjoyment. He has his intelligence covered. Spending his life in material pursuits, such a person becomes a killer of animals or a killer of the soul, and after death it falls down into hell. All souls are the energy of Krishna, one who sees the Paramatma everywhere, who is free from violence to others, who has no false ego, and has always worshipped the Supreme Lord, becomes free from repeated birth and death, and attains the liberated position of divine service to the lotus feet of the Lord. Hearing these words from the mouth of Sri Narottama Thakura, the two Brahmin boys fell before his holy feet and said, please bless these most fallen young Brahmins with the dust of your lotus feet. Thakur then touched his hand to their head, saying, may you attain Krishna Bhakti. At this, the young Brahmin boys set their goats and strode free, bathed in the Padma River, and went out with Sri Ramachandra Kaviraj and Narottama to the temple of Sriman Mahaprabhu. Let them go. Jai. Then I hope that someday they'll do it in the slaughterhouses, Let them all go. Open the gates and let them all go. Finish. All the slaughterhouses. I'm praying for that day. Please, Krishna, Narottama, please, Krishna, please, Chaitanya, please, Srila Prabhupada, bless us. We can preach in such a way that one day they said, all these cows go free. All over the world, all the slaughterhouses, let them all go free. We pray for that day. That day, after taking prasad, they again heard from Sri Narottama Thakura and Ramachandra Kaviraj about different aspects of the absolute truth. The next day, after shaving their heads, shaved up, the two young Brahmanas took initiation in the Radha Krishna mantra. Harinam accepted the mantra from Ramachandra Kaviraj and Ramachandra from Narottama Das Thakura. And now the father. Let's see what happens to the father. His sons became Hare Krishnas. Let's see what happens now. They joined the movement, right? And the father had sent him off to slaughter the cows, and the sheep and the goats. Now see what the father does. This is an interesting story. After some time, Shivanandacharya began searching and searching for his sons until he found they had been last seen in Keturigram with the living as disciples in the ashram of Narottama Das Thakura. Shivanandacharya could not contain his anger. A few days later, the two brothers returned home. Their foreheads were marked with the tilak of a Vaishnava, their throats decorated with tulsi mala. The 12 parts of their bodies marked with Vishnu tilak, their heads shaved, wearing the sika of a devotee of Krishna, seeing all the Shiva raged with hot fury and uncontrolled. You fools! Where does it say in the Shastra the position of a Vaishnava is greater than the position of a Brahmin? Or that by becoming a Vaishnava one is better than a Brahmin. You've neglected Durga for a long time, but your life is useless without Durga. Moreover, if the Vaishnavas make disciples out of Brahmins, it will lead to chaos in society. The Brahmins will lose their position, and the Pandits are defeated, religion will be destroyed, and everything will be lost. It wasn't exactly a nice atmosphere at the home, right? I came and shaved up with Vaishnava tilak, kantimala. Father was not very pleased. Let's see what happens now. Hearing the words of the father, the young Brahmins spoke to his father. On the other hand, That religion or right work which causes violence to others and ends only in misery cannot properly be called religion or proper activity. Rather, it must be called irreligion and wrong activity. O Father, giving up the worship of Shalagram, Narayana, why have you established the worship of Durga Devi and other demigods, kindly giving careful thought to the conclusions surrounding the performance of Sri Narayana Bhajana? You should understand the worship of Shiva and Durga to be a useless waste of time. Wow. Shivanandacharya and Smarta Pandits were thus defeated by the conclusions given by the Brahmin boys. Shivananda began to consider, if a great Pandit were here, he could defeat all this and belittle the position of Vaishnava Dharma by counter-argument and word jugglery. Shivanandacharya brought a great Mahapandit from Mithila called Murari. At that time, for the purpose of having a debate, he called for his sons and told them he wanted to explain before a public assembly their conclusion that a Vaishnava is better than a Brahmin. Sri Harinam and Sri Ramakrishna, remembering the lotus feet of their Guru Maharaj, explained the Siddhanta or conclusion of the Bhagavatam and the arguments of the Smartas was so utterly cut to pieces that it was his turn to speak. The great Smarta Mahapandit was able to put forward the arguments in response, but as all over the Mahapandit fled the assembly in great embarrassment with his head low and accepted the application of a beggar. He gave up being a Mahapandit and became a beggar, like we see the beggars out here on the road, begging for a rupee. He became a beggar. He gave up being the big Mahapandit and became a beggar. He was so embarrassed how these boys defeated him. Pretty amazing, huh? To see the power of Vaishnava. They weren't even that trained up. They hadn't spent a long time reading so many sastras, but just from that simple thing of accepting Narottama and Ramachandra as spiritual masters, they had so much knowledge, you see. They could defeat the great Mahapandit. Just see. You don't have to become a great learned, you don't have to memorize 10,000 verses or whatever. If you just have that, you take shelter of the bona fide guru, you have that complete dedication, you can defeat the greatest pandits, the biggest scientists. They can all be smashed to smithereens by your arguments. We learned this from Prabhupada. At night, as he lay defeated, and this is the father now, Shivanandacharya began to meditate on Durga Devi. Gradually he fell asleep and Durga Devi appeared to him in a dream. At times now she said, "Oh Shivananda, Sri Hari is the master of everyone. Those whom he covers with ignorance turn to my worship, and I assure the destruction of those who worship me. Those who are not Krishna-minded are demons. On the other hand, those who are dear devotees of Krishna are really dear to me. For your own sake, you want to become free from the offenses you committed and attain auspiciousness. You better go to Narottama Thakur and beg forgiveness from his lotus feet. Otherwise I will destroy you, you offender Vaishnavas." Because Durga said, "I will destroy you unless you go to Narottama." After speaking the words of chastisement to Shivanandacharya, Durga Devi disappeared. Wow. Amazing dream, huh? "I will destroy you unless you go to Narottama and beg for forgiveness." Ganga Narayan Chakravarti was a famous and highly learned Brahmin living in Gambila Gram. He heard from the lips of Narottama Das Thakura the Siddhanta of the Goswamis, and with great attention took shelter of the lotus feet of Narottama, where he later studied very deeply the scriptures of the Goswamis. So we have a lot. We don't have time to do all of it. Why don't we go to his disappearance now? There's this amazing story of his disappearance. Wow. Yeah, it's very short. We can wrap it up with this, then we can have questions. Guru Maharaji can add some her profound realizations. Sri Narottama Thakur was constantly absorbed in singing the glories of Sri Gauranga and Nityananda. Day after day, many atheists, agnostics, offenders, Shiva worshippers, followers of Durga, dry logicians, mental speculators, and karmis were purified by the touch of his holy lotus feet. Taking the blessings of Narottama, Sri Ramachandra Kaviraj went to Sri Vrindavan Dham. After a few months there, he entered in the eternal Leela of Radha and Govinda. And this is his close friend, Ramachandra. Now he left. He merged into so now his closest friend is departed. He entered the eternal Leela of Radha and Govinda. And now Srila Srinivas had already departed and entered the eternal Leela of Radha and Govinda. So his two closest associates, Srinivas and Ramachandra, they've disappeared. His two closest associates have gone. Hearing all these terrible news, Srila Narottama plunged into the ocean of separation where he began to drown. Just see the intensity, the emotions. He was drowning in the ocean of separation. You can imagine the intensity of the emotions, drowning in the ocean of separation. Barely able to keep afloat in the ocean of separation, Srila Narottama Thakur went to the banks of the Ganges in the village called Gambilaya and entered a temple of Mahaprabhu. Narottam offered the devotees to perform kirtan. Devotees began performing Sankirtan. After Sankirtan, Narottam went to the river's edge and with tears in his eyes took darshan of the Ganges, offering his obeisance again and again. At the time he entered in the waters of the Ganges, after entering a short distance from the water, he requested all devotees to feel the four directions of the loud chanting of the holy name. At that time, Sri Ramakrishna Acharya and Sri Ganganarayan Chakravarti began kirtan in two different places. In the midst of all these, the Thakur told them, "Pour the waters of the Ganges over my body." Saying this, everyone was immersed in the waves of some kirtan. As the kirtan went on, they were just ready to pour Ganges over the Ganges water to the body of Narottama Das Thakura, when just at that moment, Narottama Das Thakura, who was absorbed in chanting the holy name, merged into the waters of the Ganges and vanished from worldly view. His disappearance day is celebrated on the Krishna Panchami day in the month of Kartik. That's it. Wow. Can you imagine? Wow. What an amazing. And the full potency is there in his bhajans. It's like we have that one bhajan. Gorang gobolite habe pulaka shari hari hari bolite nayane Babeni Arkaveni Tai Chander Karuna Hoibe Samsara Basana Mor Kambetu Chave Vishaya Chadia Kabe Shudabe Mana Kabe Hamoherobo Narottama Das Gorango Bolite Abe Pulaka Shari Hari Hari Bolite Nayane Babainir. So we can actually, if we sing Narottam's bhajans with great feeling and devotion and intensity, we can actually enter in his divine association because he's fully present in these bhajans. He always gives us a nice signature at the end, so we know, oh, this is from Narottam. Bhakti Vinod does the same thing. Bhakti Vinod Upadesh Ekbar Namarshi Bhattore. So these great acharyas, they put their signature at the end. It's like Prabhupada would sign all his letters. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. So Narottam has signed all of his bhajans with his name, so we can know, oh, this is genuine Narottam. So let us take advantage of the mercy of Narottam. Pray for his mercy. Our dear Narottama Das Thakura, please bless us now. We can the awakening of Gaurnitai love within our hearts, and Krishna Prema can now be fully manifest in our hearts. And please bless us, Narottama, as you've been ordered to spread the glories of the holy name far and wide, that we can now, by your mercy, as your instruments, can be blessed to spread the holy names of Krishna far and wide throughout the entire world. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Questions? Any questions?
What about these pandits who became a beggars? They didn't become a devotees?
You can ask Narottam. It's interesting. It's not described in here what happened to that pandit who became a beggar. He became a Krishna conscious beggar? Or what did he do? It's not described. Interesting question. We would hope he became a Krishna conscious beggar, right? But we don't know for sure. But he was definitely purified, that we know for sure. He was definitely purified of his false ego. That's the thing. He gave up being the big Mahapandit and became a humble beggar. That we know for sure. Anything else? No questions? Okay. So let's, yes.
How can we celebrate the appearance?
How can we
celebrate the appearance and disappearance days of great acharyas?
By hearing their glories and vibrating their glories. What's more appropriate than that? Hearing their glories and vibrating their glories. Just like we're doing now. It's a very appropriate way. Hear their glories and vibrate their glories.
Hare Krishna Gurudev. So, Appearance Day and Disappearance Day, we should consider same.
Why not? The every single lila of great personalities is completely transcendental this material existence. The appearance and disappearance are both equally auspicious. We don't think, oh, horrible. Like the material says, "Happy birthday to you." You know. Oh no, the funeral. Everybody's happy at the birthday, and they're all crying in the funeral celebration. But for Vaishnavas, both are equally auspicious. You see, we're different from the karmis. Both are equally auspicious. Divine lila. You see, appearance of divine lila, disappearance of divine lila. It's called nitya lila. Their pastimes are going on eternally. These great personalities. So you can connect with them in their pastimes, any part of their pastimes, any part of their lila. It's all auspicious. Next. Is that it? No, yes.
I want to clarify.
Huh?
Srila Prabhupada says that the bhajans of the
Prabhupada's departure.
Bhajans of Narottama Das Thakura is like the Shastra.
What's the question?
It is true that
Can you understand his question?
Are bhajans on the same level as the Shastra?
Narottama
The bhajans of Narottama Das are as good as the Vedic truth. Yeah. They're as good as Bhagavatam verses. That's it. They have the same potency as Bhagavatam. It's the Hare Krishna mantra as the Bhagavatam verses.
Not the same. Exactly same because
They have the same
bhajans
potency.
are their prayer.
They have the same potency. They have the same
Then
potency. They're as good as they're as good as Vedic scriptures. Every bhajan of Narottama is as good as Vedic scriptures.
So can we
Just like whatever Prabhupada says is as good as Vedic scriptures.
So they're good as Vedic scriptures. So we should not read Bhagavatam. We should sing only Narottam bhajan, and we will be successful.
That's a ridiculous argument. It's like saying I say only since Bhagavad Gita is absolute and Bhagavatam is only.
They are all absolute.
It's a ridiculous argument to say, but
I'm not arguing. I'm just wondering.
no.
When we say that they're all same, they are all same.
Prabhupada did both.
transcendental.
Prabhupada gave purports to the Bhagavatam. He also gave purports to Narottam's bhajans.
Yes.
Both things he gave
Yes,
purports.
but
They're
the
equally
bhajan-
auspicious, and they're equally
Krishna,
auspicious.
Hare
That's why Prabhupada gave purports to Narottam's songs.
Hare Krishna. I'm asking you something.
Okay.
He gave the purport. Is the, if I sing Narottama Das Thakura purport, will I get the knowledge about Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita?
Actually, any one word, even if you chant Hare Krishna with full absorption, from that one word you can realize all the Vedic wisdom. So if you can sing, if you can do one Gita verse, one verse from Narottama with full devotion, you can realize all the Vedic wisdom. The full Vedic wisdom is packed there, even in one verse of Narottam's songs.
So,
That's a fact.
So that means we don't need to hear Bhagavatam. We
No,
can
it
sing
doesn't.
Narottam songs.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Prabhupada gave us both. He gave us purports on Gita,
Yes, so
purports on
it's-
Bhagavatam, purports on
so-
Chaitanya, and purports on Narottam. He gave all four things. They're all equally auspicious.
But he did not say that we have to sing the bhajans of Narottam every day. But this is our individual prayers, whereas Bhagavatam and all that we have to sing.
We sing a bhajan by Vishwanath Chakravarti. We sing a bhajan of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur every day.
Yes, that is about the prayers of the spiritual master.
They're all equally auspicious. We don't minimize any of them. They're all equally auspicious.
My point is not auspicious or not auspicious. I'm saying,
It's not required to sing them every day, no.
okay, that's my point.
I'm not saying that. But if you want to sing them every day, you're welcome.
That's individual.
But you first chant your japa. If If you find great relish in singing a bhajan and Narottam, go for it. Anything you get on a Maya is good, whether it's Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, anything. These are all equally auspicious. Anything that helps you get on Maya, go for it. If Narottam helps you, Rupa Goswami helps you. Rupa Goswami's verses are also very powerful. They're all equally auspicious. Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Prabhupada's a quote from Prabhupada. There's all equally auspicious, and they're all out on the transcendental platform. Any one of them will liberate you from this material existence of experience in full depth of devotion. That's a fact. Any one of them will give you full liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Whether it's Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Sri Upanishad, easy. All of these are equally auspicious, and any one of them with full concentration and devotion will liberate you from all the sufferings of material existence. That's a fact. Okay, anything else?
So Srila Gurudev,
Yeah.
sometimes devotees can start jumping to different bhajans or different scriptures and neglect Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes happens like that. Because it
happens.
seems different
That's the way
bhajans,
I'm
like very,
saying.
yeah.
If somebody neglects Prabhupada, we have to
Not
follow.
neglect, but they start looking for different nectarian like bhajans or verses from different acharyas, but they never read all Prabhupada books, and they are kind of concentrating on different.
Yeah, if somebody tries to, this is called sahajaism. You try to squeeze out. You find something like like rasa, like the sahajas. They ignore the first 9 cantos. They jump to the 10th canto, and so we should not use these. Some of these bhajans are actually Prabhupada said they're beyond us. Some of the bhajans, like what is that? The one bhajan Prabhupada said was too advanced for us. I forget which one it was. Shida Kamala Kuta Mandala. That's a very high level. It's beyond our comprehension. It's a very high, like intimate, Gopi Bab type bhajan. This stuff is dangerous for us to try to, get focus, make that our focus. It's a very beautiful song, but Prabhupada warned against taking that, just going into that bhajan. I remember he gave some warning about Shruti Kamala Pisa Manjale. It's very beautiful, but yeah, we have to be careful about some of these high-level bhajans that are really beyond our comprehension in our neophyte stage. They're for liberated souls, not for neophytes like us. That's a good point.
This is the point I was.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a very good point. Some of the bhajans are like on the high-level Gopi Bab type stuff, and it's beyond. It's for liberated souls, not for struggling neophytes. Ours are hard and keeping your minds off the opposite sex. Yeah, that's a fact. It's a good point. That reinforces that. That's absolutely true. Whereas you won't find that even the Bhagavatam is dangerous. It has the same danger if you jump to the 10th canto. It's the same dangers there in the Bhagavatam. So we have to understand how our level, here we are struggling neophytes, for Krita Bhaktas, we're not in the level of Bhava or Prema. We have to understand what's the proper medicine for us. It's like there's different medicines for different levels of persons. But you have to go to the doctor. Prabhupada's our doctor, and he gives us that medicine which is just suitable for us. If you take some medicine that's suitable, you can't say, well, so-and-so was described this medicine, so I'll take it. No, the spiritual master gives the medicine which is suitable for you. So don't take a medicine suitable for somebody else. That can actually make you sick. So it's a good point now that supports what Guru Manaji and Raj Kishore are saying. You have to take that medicine suitable for you. But many of these bhajans are actually, you can see they're suitable for neophytes. Those are the bhajans we especially want to take advantage of. Bhajans suitable for neophytes, not for those on the level of prema. That's right. Good point. Anything else?
About 10th canto, as you mentioned, but Prabhupada has given in a suitable way that we can digest it. 10th canto. First he gave the stories, Krishna book,
Yeah,
and then 10th canto, so everybody can understand.
that's right.
Very nicely explained.
Oh, yeah.
in 10th canto.
They have a very nice program every Sunday in the Prabhupada's room reading Krishna book. Going through the whole thing. I was fortunate, I went there, I stumbled on it yesterday. We were reading Prabhupada's, we took turns reading from Krishna book yesterday in Prabhupada's room. It was very A very auspicious, very lucky accident I made going to that room yesterday when they were doing the reading. Yeah, the Krishna book is really wonderful. From start to finish. That's right. But if someone says, I only want to read about Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, I don't read anything else, that's not a good, even Krishna book. I only read this part of Krishna book, nothing else. I only want to read Krishna stealing the gopis' clothes, nothing else. And that's a bad sign. Okay? So I stop here.
You gonna end this one here first?
Oh, questions here?
No, I said end.
Oh, we ended, okay.
And not only the words that I think you should tell them something.
Okay, Mahaprasad.
Politely. I should end politely. Letting them know.